Так, следующий у нас докладчик Карлос Сион, Нидерланды. Карлос. Интригующая тема.
Я слушал «Всем привет», «Доброе утро», «Здравствуйте» или все. Но я хочу сказать «Здорово, ребята!» Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. I hope that you are having a good time. I was checking the program, and I thought, wow, this looks like very exciting, but I have no idea what it says, so you know better. Кто не говорит по-английски? Скажите, пожалуйста. Плохо. Очень плохо. Because I'm going to be giving the talk in English. I'm not going to be giving it in Russian. So this is going to be a challenge. Today we're going to be talking about management, how much it sucks, from the perspective of a manager, from the perspective of the engineer, and how we can connect, how we can bridge it out. Because there is a big gap, and we need to close it. And I'm going to be, hopefully, by the end of the talk, I'm going to be giving you the tools that is going to help you to sell your ideas better, to sell yourself better, and overall just for us all to collaborate better, because that's the whole idea behind DevOps. So let's take a look at the agenda for today. We're going to be bringing a tale from the trenches. We're going to be understanding risk and risk management. Later, we're going to be looking into resource optimization. We're going to be talking about getting real or getting human, understanding our human side of things. And finally, we're going to be speaking a little bit about becoming a salesperson. So let's just go. So back in 2009 or 10, I was a Ruby on Rails developer. And a colleague of mine and I are working on this project. And for this very specific use case, MongoDB really fit our needs. So we made the decision and we integrated MongoDB into the project. Now, this was a model view controller pattern, and MongoDB, just the fact that we could store everything as a document was just perfect. However, we were both junior developers in the sense that we were new to Ruby on Rails. So the framework was getting on the way of progress just because we had to learn it, right? So that couldn't be helped. So the CEO of the company, concerned with not the lack of progress, but with the speed of progress, he thought to bring in someone senior. That makes sense. Somebody that has knowledge and experience so that they can help us get through the whole process and faster and deliver the features faster. That was the whole idea. So this guy was like, whoa, hold on one second. What are you doing with MongoDB? I think that, this doesn't suit the use case at all. So we're just going to migrate to MySQL. But we had already been done progress for like 3 months. And now we had to rewrite everything from MongoDB onto MySQL. The models, the classes, the libraries, the queries, the views. Oh my God, it was so painful. But the thing is, this guy had the experience of working with MySQL. And he didn't know anything about MongoDB. He had only heard the name, and he knew that it was a hype. And so he thought, because everything is a hype, this is going to be dead in a few weeks. So let's just move into something that is more predictable, something that I know, something that falls into my comfort zone. I think that was his line of thought. 2 weeks later, he comes and he says, you know what? I think that MongoDB is pretty cool. Let's go back to MongoDB. Oh my God, the frustration. So I went back home feeling like this. Like I hate my job, and most importantly, I thought that he was just a tupая утка. He's like, you have no idea what you're doing, dude. You just, whatever. Senior? I am senior, you go home. I better have your salary. So I was really frustrated. I'm pretty sure that many of you have gone through a situation that is not exactly similar like that, but something that looks really stupid. Like, why are you doing that? This is the wrong decision. Who of you can relate to the feeling of like, these guys are just idiots. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's like 50% of the room at least. And the other, I think they're just being polite. So let's take a look into risk. What I see is that this guy comes and he has a certain responsibility. The owner of the company is saying, I'm giving you this project, you need to save it. And then this guy's like, okay, what is going on with this project? Oh, there is a technology that I have no idea about. For him, the risk is really high. Why though? Because he didn't know. It was the fear of the unknown. If you don't know what is on the other side, then it feels really risky. Once you understand it, so he went on his free time, I'm pretty sure. He went on his free time and he's like, okay, I'm going to hack a couple of projects with MongoDB. And then the risk for him started to decrease because now he knew what was on the other side. So the fear of the unknown is really important here. So let's take a look into something very risky. Does anybody know what hang gliding or deltaplan is? Yes? Have you done it before? Has anybody done hang gliding before here? No? Would you do it? Can you please raise your hands if you would dare to do hang gliding? Oh my God, one person from the whole room. Okay, very good. So the thing is, right now we're having fear of the unknown. So let's take a look into hang gliding and see how that extrapolates. So this is hang gliding. As you can see, it's a big wing, and then you are in a harness that looks like a sleeping bag, and then you are with leg straps, check straps, and there is a hang strap that is connected to the glider, and also you have a reserve parachute in case that things go wrong. Then you can deploy it, and that's going to save your life. That's your plan B. Also, this thing works with weight shift. So when you shift your weight to the right, the wing turns to the right. When you shift your weight to the left, then the wing turns to the left. If you pitch forward, the wing starts to dive. If you pitch backwards, the wing starts to level up a little. So this is how a hang glider works. Now, what could be the risk? Can anybody say what could go wrong? What could go wrong? Anybody? Everything can go wrong. Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, everything can go wrong, but let's take a look deeper into how this thing works so that we know exactly what can go wrong. So there is, go back, sorry. If you go back one slide, yes. So there is 3 major points of connection between you and the wing. So the first one on the lower side is to the harness. There is an attachment from the rope to the harness. Then on the upper side, there is an attachment to the wing. And then on the middle, there is an attachment between the harness rope and the glider rope. So that's your weak link. So if you go one side, yes? Here you can see the metal thing that is from your harness, you hook into the glider. This is the weak link. This carabiner can take up to 1 ton of weight. I weigh 68 kilos, so this is way above the rating. So in that sense, it feels safe. Now, the glider is also made out of aluminum, which is reinforced, and it is connected with cable steels, the same ones that they use for airplanes. So the whole thing is very sturdy, but when we don't know it from up close, it feels really like, I'm still not sure about these things. Once we understand what are the weak links here and what can go wrong, then it's easier to understand what are the risks. And then we can make an informed decision and say, okay, this is the risk, this is the reward. And based on this knowledge, then we can make a decision. Yes, I'm going to go hang gliding, or hell no, I'm not going to do that ever. So this is how you take off from a hang glider. There is a ramp, you're attached to the glider, you run like a madman up the mountain, and suddenly you're just flying. And there's nothing else. There's just you, your wing, and the elements of nature. And then you can be in the air like a bird for hours. So now, okay, so who, after you have gained this knowledge, who would dare to go hang gliding? Can you please raise your hands? So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12. Wow, there we go. So we made some progress. Thank you very much. Please give it up to yourself. This is, the fear of the unknown can hold us back from so much and from enjoying life so much. So I really like to push myself out of that. So now let's take a look into something a little more safe. Let's say that you have been tasked to run a team building event. So your team is made out of 10 people, and the manager says, here's $1,000, and you need to throw some sort of event to build a team just for fun. Now, how much is, in rubles, how much is it in dollars? Can you go one more slide? Yes, so that is 50 cents or $1, I don't know, next. Let's go. Yes, okay, so that is about 63K rubles. So, next. Now, what do we do? What do we take our teams? What is the activity that we could do? If we take a look into what are the possibilities, we could take them for a fancy dinner, right? And then it's about like $80 a person for like a really expensive meal, 5 courses, wine, etc., etc. And then we can end up the night drinking. Or we can do something different though. We can go paintballing. That's super fun, that looks like fun. And it's about the same amount of money that you pay for the fancy meal. And then we can go for like a Shire dinner. We can go for shawarma. So we're not gonna have a fancy meal, but we can have a really amazing activity, meal and drink. In either case, we drink, that's for sure. We're drinking. All right, so now what we're talking about is optimization and how we optimize the budget so that we can make the best value from it without being too risky, but also without being too boring. So we need to find the balance. So let's say that we're a family of 4, so me, my wife, and 2 kids. Where do we go? Do we go to the beach? Do we go to the mountains? Do we go by bus? Do we go by plane? Do we go by train? Do we stay at a hostel? Or do we stay at a fancy hotel? What do we do? Decisions, decisions, decisions. It all depends on the budget that we have. If I were rich, I would just go by plane to the beach and to the mountain in fancy hotels everywhere. I would go, wherever we go, I would buy a Hummer, drive it, and then just send it back home and pile it up with the other 12 cars that I have there. But I'm not rich. Anybody rich in the room? Can you please raise your hands? Anybody? Actions in Megaphone, actions in Yandex. I think that you're being shy. I saw somebody trying to raise the hand over there, but I think they're being shy. Okay, cool. So it all depends, and it's all about finding the balance, right? So if we don't have the budget, all the budget that we want, then we need to make the best use of those $1,000 that we have. And it's exactly the same for companies. So let's take a look into a technical problem. Let's say that we have a web application, and it's running in 4 different servers, and we want to expose it to the internet. And then we put an Nginx in front of it. By the way, I chose Nginx on purpose because the author is Russian. I think that is awesome. So we put an Nginx there, but now our Nginx has become our single point of failure. So let's put 2 Nginxes on top and a load balancer. Who is happy with this setup? Who says that this could be improved? So nobody, yeah, okay, there we go, yes. Okay, so let's improve it. Let's improve the setup. Now I put 2 load balancers in front of the load balancer, which is load balancing the Nginx, which is load balancing the web servers. Let's improve it. Why are you laughing? I don't get it. For me, this is an amazing setup. It's highly available, resilient. Let's go. The truth is we don't know. If I were to do something very pragmatic, I would just come up with something like this. 2 load balancers, Nginx, and whatever, but it's not important. It's also very debatable. Let's go. So let's talk now about optimization from a company's perspective, because a company also has budget, right? It's not unlimited money. Who works here at a company that has unlimited budget? 1, 2, whoa. All right, right on. Okay, cool. So about 5 people raised their hands. I'm really curious what kind of company that is. So let's take a look into how we can optimize resources for company X that has a certain amount of budget. It's not infinite, right? Only 5 people raise their hands, so probably really big corporations. But the truth is that not all of us working companies have unlimited resources. And when the resources are limited, when money is limited, resources are also limited. People, time, especially, etc. So we have a company that has a certain amount of budget, 3 developers, 1 operator, 1 designer, and 5 projects. So we have the front end, we have the back end, we have the databases, we have the infrastructure, we have the communication, we have the marketing. There is so many things going on at the same time, and so little people. We don't have enough people. So what do you do? What do you do? So let's go. At some point, you need somebody that can help you organize these resources, somebody that can say, hey, you're working on this project, you're working on this project, and you're working on this project. Because if you don't manage the time of these people, if these people are not senior enough to manage their time, it's going to be chaotic. So why? this is what more or less like a really short list of what needs to happen from a manager's perspective. You need to make sure that features are being developed and released, the bugs are fixed, the platform is being up and running. The interpersonal issues need to be fixed because sometimes developers and operators cannot collaborate with each other, or developers with developers cannot collaborate with each other, or operators with operators cannot collaborate. Nobody can collaborate with anybody, especially when personalities are very toxic. Communication is key, and you need to make sure as a manager that that is going smoothly. Apart from that, you also need to make sure that the POs are happy, that the engineers are happy, that the stories are being written and well-defined, and that they're being prioritized, that coordinate between teams, attend meetings, one-on-ones, etc., etc., etc. So management from that perspective sucks, because at the end of the day, you're just trying to do your job as a manager, but people hate you. The POs and the stakeholders are not happy because you're not delivering the features as fast as you can, and the engineers are not happy because you're not allocating enough time to develop features, and mostly you're just or fixing the bugs or refactoring everything else. So at the end of the day, the manager goes home and is really sad. So the problem is, if you think of it, the manager is really close to the business side of things, is really close to the stakeholders and the POs and how the money is flowing, but the engineers are on this side, far away from where the money is. And that's where the gap is. We're so far away from each other, and we don't know where the value is. We're not speaking in terms of how this feature will translate into money. We're saying how this feature is going to decrease the response time on the front end by 50 milliseconds. Do you think that the business owners care? They don't have the knowledge. They don't have the technical knowledge to understand that 50 milliseconds save is really good, because then the website is going to load faster, the users are going to be happier, you're going to have more conversion rate. They don't know how that translates. That's why sometimes you need the person in the middle that speaks both languages. However, I believe, and I've seen that it's possible as an engineer to speak in terms of money so that the business people can actually understand and accept your ideas. So what now? We need to start talking in terms of kapusta. So whenever you're talking you want to introduce a new feature, or you believe that a refactor needs to happen, don't think in terms of how many lines of code you're going to save, or think, okay, we're writing these features, and every day we're dealing with the same problems, and it's taking us 2 hours a day so that we can get around the issue, so that we can finally develop the feature. So that's 2 hours from your time. Multiply that by 3, which is the rest of the team members. That is 6 hours. Multiply by 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month, 6 months a year, and then you have a lot of hours. Then make an average of how much money that represents from your salary for the company, and then you come to management and say, hey, this bug that we have, or this old stinky spaghetti code that we have, is taking this much money from the company every year. And then the business is like, oh, we're losing money? What? From code? What? How? Tell me more about it. Say, yes, because this translates into many hours, and this translates into much work. And now you're talking in terms of money. And business loves that. Management loves that. So a quick checklist before you talk about a problem that you're having and that you want to fix, or the idea that you want to sell. You know what ELI 5 is? It's a subreddit. It means explain me like I'm 5. I love it, because people take really complex ideas and they explain it in really simplistic terms. And this is what you need to do when you want to express an idea and you want to sell an idea to business. Try to explain it as if they were 5-year-olds, because most of the time that's what it feels like. And then think about what is the risk in terms of, we want to pull this off in a week, but the risk is that we meet certain roadblocks and it's going to take us double the time, 2 weeks or 1 month. Think about the risk seriously and try to predict more or less what is going to happen, and then think, what is the reward? You tell the business, the risk is that we might actually take longer, but the reward is that in the long term, in a year time, we have saved 50K a year. The companies love to save money, especially if it is 50K. Once you have checked off every item of the list, you want to talk to your manager, you want to make a promise. You want to shake hands and say, I promise you that if you give me the time and the resources to do this, that I will deliver on time. You need to make the promise, you need to hold up to your word. Otherwise you lose trust, and then you won't be able to pull these kind of things off anymore. And also, you need to synchronize and listen into what is going on with the numbers. I know that not all the companies talk about this openly and publicly, but whenever you can, there is the revision periods, there is the town hall meetings, whatever the format is that your company uses to share numbers, if at all, tune into that and see how much money is being spent, how much money is coming in, if there is any money coming in at all, investment rounds, all of these. Just take a look at that. And so next time you're trying to sell an idea, use those numbers in your favor, because the information is there and information is power, and you should use it for your own interests. So the summary is that, yeah, sure, management sometimes feels a little bit detached from what we want and from what the business wants. The truth is that just like us as engineers, management is learning on the job. Just as you once were a junior developer or a junior operator, a junior DevOps engineer, whatever junior you were, so is management. Yeah, they can go to trainings and they can take MBAs and anything you want, but the truth is, experience needs to be built up. So next time the management is making a decision that doesn't make a lot of sense, think about it as if you were that manager. And sometimes it's like, yeah, if I were a manager, I would do it better. Sure, but so it is when you're a developer or an operator. Somebody set up a class, wrote a class, or set up a load balancer on top of a load balancer, and you think, if I were the engineer, I would have done it differently. Sure, because everybody has a different way of thinking, a different way of solving problems, and not all the time they get it right. Why? Because they are learning on the job, just like we are. We don't get it right the first time. So, sorry, go back. Not spasiba yet. So help management take more control risks. If you give them all the information that they need to make the decisions and informed decisions, then it's easier for you to sell your ideas. I promise you that. Talk money to them, as I told you. Use the numbers in your favor, and then you can really make sure that you are speaking in the terms that business likes to speak. And strategize the way that you communicate your ideas. Before you go there with whatever technical arguments that you have, think about how you want to present your idea. How are they going to understand what I'm going to say? Do they know what milliseconds are? Do they know what response time is? Do they know what a CI/CD pipeline is? Do they even know what Git is? Think about all this, and then strategize how you're going to communicate your idea. Yes. Spasiba. Now, I know that I think I ran out of time, but if can you go back to my slides? If there is, if I can have one extra minute, I have one. Добавка есть. Yes, go like all the way to the last. Yes, go. Yes. Yeah, more. Yes. Real quick, because I promised this on the abstract of the talk. Who of you have ever asked for a raise at your company? 1, 2, 3, well, very little. How many of you had a successful salary raise after your talk? Oh, it's about the same success rate. The same people that raised their hands is the same people that got their raise actually. So the reason why we do not get raises as often as we do is because we do not speak in terms of money either. We don't speak in terms of value. We just goes like, it's been a year, and I think that I deserve a raise because I've been working really hard. And I've been doing extra hours, and yes, so I think that I deserve a raise. I would like, and say, sorry, the numbers are actually doing pretty not good, so your raise is gonna have to wait. I'm gonna give you a little trick. Think about the value that you bring to the company, but really think about it. Give yourself some self-worth. Do you come to the office and do you work as a team? Are you thinking along when features are being created? Do you come up with features yourself? Are you there when shit hits the fan, when the system goes down? Are you there sharing knowledge? Are you keeping the documentation up to date? Are you going the extra mile? Are you building your team? Are you sharing? Are you hanging out with your mates? Are you going for drinks after work with your teammates? All of these things are valuable for the company. Are you coaching a junior developer? Are you making sure that the platform is up and running with automation and all these things? Think about in terms of how much are you improving the whole process in the company. Really take a moment for that. And also look into what other companies are paying for your same position. Then use this information and talk to management and say, hey, in the last year, I developed and I delivered this and this and this and this and this and this and this. These are my results. Based on this, I want a salary increase. Not on what I'm going to do in the next 6 months, because you don't negotiate your salary raise based on what you're going to do. You negotiate your salary raise based on what you did already. Use that as ammunition. And if they don't want to see it, maybe it's time for you to move on. And here's another trick. You can go to job interviews and get other job offers. And once you get those job offers, you don't need to accept them, but you come to management and says, hey, Company A and Company B are offering me this. However, I don't want to leave. Can you match that up? And then management is really going to see like, oh my God, this person is ready to walk away, and we cannot afford that just yet. And with this, you really have a lot of leverage to negotiate your salary. That's it. Thank you very much. And good luck.
Друзья, на этом наша keynote заканчивается. Не расходитесь, у нас есть минутка организационной информации. И не забывайте, пожалуйста, приложение оценивать доклады Антона и Карлоса.